The 2025 budget speech has sparked intense debate, particularly concerning its impact on South Africa's youth. While government has committed to R1 trillion to infrastructure projects and retained the social relief of distress grant, many believe that youth employment, entrepreneurship and financial relief have been overlooked. We speak to Siphilangenkosi Dlamini, president of the South African Youth Business Chamber, to explore what this budget means for the country's young people. Siphilangenkosi, appreciate your time. Now, many have said this budget fails to prioritise youth unemployment. What are your sentiments?
Thank you for having me, Hugo. The sentiment of the South African Youth Business Chamber and young people in general in this country is disappointment because the increase of the VAT by a possible 0.5% with the projected possible additional 0.5% in 2026 means that young businesses that are already struggling in the current Ramaphosa administration economy are going to further be strained to run the bare minimum of their businesses, paying salaries, getting supplies, but most importantly, Hugo, the lack of explicit mention of small and medium enterprises and youth-owned businesses in the budget is deeply concerning to us because the minister spoke quite a lot about structural reforms that will present opportunities for development. But we truly are of the view that more must be done to ensure that young entrepreneurs and small businesses receive the necessary support to navigate this evolving economic landscape. And what is even more concerning is that this phased increase is going to place an additional burden on SMEs and youth-led enterprises, many of which operate on highly price-sensitive sectors. Of course, this will lead to increased cost of goods and services, and this will, of course, negatively affect consumer demand and business sustainability. We need government at this point in time and the government of national unity to look at cushioning mechanisms such as tax relief measures or targeted financial relief and assistance for small and medium enterprises. These must be put in place to support and mitigate the cost of the current economy and in order to mitigate the effect of these inflation and VAT increases. And of course, despite the commitments to economic expansion and job creation, we know, Hugo, that this is a song that the government has been singing for the past 10 years. So we are saying as the Youth Business Chamber that we are bringing solutions. We're saying young people must be the solution to the unemployment in this country, and by starting their own businesses and sustaining their own businesses. But government and the public and private sector have an obligation to ensure that the environment itself in which these SMEs operate allows them to create jobs, allows them to put bread on the tables of their families. So we feel that the budget does not explicitly attend to these structural issues, and we can't fix issues such as unemployment, such as failing youth businesses, most of which these businesses that are failing are businesses that are led by young people, as particularly young people of color in this country. So our government must really do better. And we are hoping that, of course, the government of national unity is not going to allow this
So give me your thoughts on the public employment programs like the Teachers Initiative, Assistant Initiative, which received funding. Do you think that this is enough or more could have been done? And if so, what more could government have done?
Hugo, the teaching assistance program and the YES programs that have been put in place by government, it's admirable. It does create employment for the short term. But, and as you're aware, most of these contracts are on 12-month basis, and most of them are on 24 months at most. So it does not solve the real problem. Moreover, Hugo, there's internship programs that are in the public sector, such as the president's, the one of the presidents where they take interns, and you find that these are in metros, your Nelspruit, your Bloemfontein, your Pretoria, and they say that they're going to pay young people 5,000 rand to 8,000 rand or 9,000 rand a month. and the average rental for a young person to be staying in Nelspruit or to be staying in Pretoria is about 5,000. That's already 50% of the stipend that is being given. There's still bills, there's transport that this young person still needs to cover. So these are a mechanism that provides young people with a mouth-to-mouth. You basically are just paying rent and taxes, but you can't develop yourself. So the real solution here is we create long-term jobs, and we can do this by sustaining SMMEs and ensuring that they are able to mitigate the cost of high inflation. Because the current teaching assistant program and the internship programs by government are not a solution, and they're not assisting young people develop in any way. Because what's important, Hugo, for young people in this country is, if I have a job now, am I able to still have something left over to be able to live a proper life? Am I able to send my home? Am I able to pay for my studies or to pay for personal development? And in the current model for these programs, they do not allow young people to do that.
Siphilangenkosi, if you could propose one immediate policy change to address unemployment, what would it be?
What we are proposing as the South African Youth Business Chamber is we need government to adopt a policy that will cushion young businesses and SMMEs from tax, so that as these businesses are finding their feet, perhaps over a period of 3 to 5 years, they're allowed to pay less tax than, of course, your white monopoly capital establishments or your properly established public and private sector entities. That way, you're allowing this business to be stable, to sustain its mechanism, its administration, to pay salaries as well as to expand over a period of 3 to 5 years, thereby ensuring that there's more employment. Because we have seen, Hugo, that government is not the solution to solving the unemployment issue. However, there is a need for the private sector and the public sector, as well as government and the legislature, to work together to create an environment that will allow these SMMEs to grow. So such a policy would enable all of these businesses to be started, to grow, expand sustainably. Then, of course, after we've seen that this young business or this SMME is sustaining itself beyond a 5-year period, then we say this young business must now give back to the country, because ultimately tax allows us to rotate the money within our economy, ensuring that there's a proper fiscal flow. So that is the one that we would propose, so that we ensure that we create youth businesses, we stimulate youth employment, and most importantly, Hugo, we sustain jobs and we keep bread in the tables of many South African families.
Siphilangenkosi Dlamini, President of the South African Youth Business Chamber, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for speaking to us. And he was reacting to this week's budget announcement, and suggesting that more needs to be done in the way of tax rebates for small to medium enterprises that are owned and run by young people. Well,